So my name is Courtney Evanchek. I'm actually a school psychologist. I've worked in public schools, non-public schools. Now I'm actually in private practice. So that email thing that was going around, that's for the private practice. I'm at A+ Solutions. Just to tell you just a second about what that is there's kind of two branches that we kind of run there. We have the mental health branch, like I call it, and so we do psychotherapy, counseling, parent guidance, things like that. And then we also have sort of an educational branch where we do tutoring, occupational therapy, speech, and things like that. So that's just what where I'm from and a little bit about my organization. I'm a mom of 4 kids, so I feel like of anything that gives me like the most credentials. I've done this. My range and age from 17 to 9, so I have done this with 4 of them successfully. Nobody's in diapers. Although coming here tonight, I'm like, let's pretend you're in diapers. I'm like, guys, stop. So I've done this, and I've done this, potty training a few times. So I do want to talk, and we'll go at the process. And I definitely want you all to ask questions, and you're all different stages. So some of you might be asking questions about like things that are on your mind that I didn't cover, or someone who has a child who's a little bit stuck. Like, how do I? Hopefully, I'll answer them a little bit along the way. But please feel free to answer questions, and I'll make sure we stop in plenty of time to get those questions answered. The first thing I think it's important to start with before we talk about like the actual process of potty training is why it causes so much anxiety in parents. And I think that it does. Are you all like feeling a little anxious? Right? Because and there's many reasons, in part because there's no other developmental milestone where you had to actually take an active role. You didn't wake up one morning and tell your child, okay, now you're going to stop crawling and you're going to walk today. Like, it didn't happen that way. Just through development, they learned to pull themselves up and, furniture walk, and then eventually took the first step, and they started walking. So we have to actually have a little bit more of an active role in this. We get to decide when, it's time to start potty training. Every so often, somebody gets a child who, decides on their own and trains themselves. You're very lucky if you do. They're few and far between. But great if you do. Most of the time, we have to kind of say, okay, now we're going to start using the potty. There's also this internal tug of war that kids feel and that we as parents feel. And they're different tug of wars, but each of us have that tug of war. As parents, the tug of war is, I still want my baby. And I also want a big kid. Right? It's hard to let go of our little baby, cute baby. Once we put on big kid underpants, they're no longer, they leave that baby stage and become a big kid, and we have that struggle within us. For a child, they also have an internal tug of war, and for them, it's kind of a little bit the same as I want to stay a baby, and I also want to be a big kid at the same time. So if I give up my diapers, then I'm going to be a big kid, but I still kind of like being a baby, and that's the same type of idea, that internal tug of war, which causes a lot of ambivalence in both parents and in children. And that just general sense of ambivalence in 2-year-old is the hallmark, feeling of 2-year-olds. I mean, you probably all experienced this, where one day they're like, I'm going to get dressed all by myself. And the next day they're lying on the floor, Mommy, dress me, right? That's just what they do. One day is different. In the morning, they're independent. The afternoon, they're like babies again. That is developmentally appropriate and where they're supposed to be. But that ambivalence causes some of that conflict in them learning to be potty trained. And so I just thought it's important to kind of start developmentally, kind of where they're at, so you have an idea of where the struggle kind of comes from. Any questions on that? Okay. So now, how do we get started, right? You have to make the decision. We're going to start. Whenever that is, you're going to make the decision, I'm going to start. But before that, you kind of want to have some things ready, especially for those who haven't started yet. This is a good thing to pre-start. Have a little potty, on the, the little potties. Keep it in the bathroom. Let them play with it. There's no expectations. They don't need to pee or poop on it, but just something to play with, and they see. And if they want to sit on it, great. Sometimes before kids take a bath, they want to sit on it. It's there to just explore and be curious about. You can start reading them some books about potty training. There's some up there. Everybody Poop books. There's a bunch. A librarian pulled some. I had some from home, very well loved and used. Start talking about it. No expectations. We're not starting yet, but just that this is what it is. Mommy and Daddy make their pee and poop on the potty. Just general things like that. when you actually decide to begin, it's also good to make some physical changes in the house. So like if they have a changing table, remove the changing table, because we're not going to be using diapers anymore. That's like, we don't need it. So we're kind of making like also changes in the environment, right? If you have diapers lying out, put them away. Like even if you're going to use them at nighttime, kind of keep them away, right? So we're changing the whole environment of the house. No diapers anywhere. And I used to have diapers like upstairs and downstairs and all over the place. Like it just, we'll just be using them at bedtime. So we're going to maybe keep them in one specific place. So that's kind of some environmental things you want to do. Let them play, let them explore. So the question is, how do I know my child is ready? That's always like the big thing. And I think we get, as parents, so many messages and very confusing messages about like, when is my child ready? I've heard so many times, well, don't worry, we'll walk down the aisle in diapers. Okay, but what's that? How is that helpful? That's great. He won't get married in diapers, but like, how is it helpful? Maybe he uses it as a pickup line. I don't know. Take that on the podcast. But, or like, they'll just do it when they're ready. If that was the case, then all kids would just potty train themselves, which we know doesn't really happen. So how do we know it's ready? And I think, I was mentioning before that I used to go around with a pediatrician. I actually co-wrote that book I put up there, Who's the Boss? And he used to answer all the medical questions when I would do the potty training thing. But he told me himself, he's like, we don't actually learn how to potty train kids in like medical school. That's like nothing we're taught. We answer the questions based on our best ability that we read, but like, we don't really know either. So, we go to these experts and they're just as confused as we are. So, not that you shouldn't talk to a pediatrician, you should, but there's no potty training course given in medical school. So typically, really like 18 months is actually when kids are able to start to be able to hold and know when they have to go to the bathroom. I think in our culture, we don't usually start till like 2. I rarely see somebody starting at 18 months. That's fine. Usually somewhere between 2 years and 3 years old is when we kind of decide, all right, this is going to be it. So signs that show you that they might be ready would be they tell you when they're going, like, I'm going in my diaper, or they sometimes hide in the corner and like poop, like that would be another sign they're ready. Even if they do things like they start organizing or putting their toys in a row or in a line, shows that they understand that there's organization and things are supposed to go in a certain place. Like your poop is supposed to go in the toilet, they understand that toys are supposed to go black in the black bin. So those are all signs to show that they're ready. Like I said, most kids don't want to do it. They have that internal struggle of like, I don't want to give up my diapers, and I still want to be a big kid. And they also wonder, like, if I give up my diaper, will mommy and daddy still be there to help me? And that's something we can say to reassure them. Mommy and daddy will still be there to give you your breakfast and your lunch and your dinner. We'll still help feed you. We'll still help you, get dressed. So they don't have to be worried that, well, if they don't change my diaper and help me with that, then oh my gosh, they're not going to help me with anything. So that's not the case. But oftentimes kids can kind of have that we call magical thinking, where they think about things and project things that aren't really the case. So we can, reassure that mommy and daddy will still be around to help you do all those things that you need help with. So now you've decided that they're ready. By the way, I'm sorry, I should have told you, in your hand in the folders, you pulled it out, doesn't look like this. Can I just hold you up for a second? There is a handout which goes through the whole process that I'm talking about, kind of like step by step. So you have that and you can kind of follow kind of where I'm going with my outline. Okay, so the first step is, I'd like to start with they're like thicker training pants. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're like, I think Gerber makes them. And they aren't like the typical underwear. They actually have extra padding in them. And so I like to start with that because it gives them a little bit of extra padding. They're called training pants. I know Target sells them. I believe Gerber brand makes them. JCPenney used to have them, but I don't even know where there's JCPenney anymore. But I found them for my own kids at Target. They're cloth, they're cotton, they're regular underpants, but they're just like a little bit thicker in like the front, just holds a little bit more pee. The idea is what we're doing is we're saying to them, you are ready. Like the message we're giving them is you are a big boy, you are a big girl, you are ready to put your pee and your poop in the potty. So we're giving them empowering statements that they're able to do this. And when we start potty training, I really strongly believe that we just go with underpants all day. The only time we put on diapers is at nighttime, because nighttime actually has nothing to do with potty training. It's all developmental. That will just come. It's kind of like learning to walk. You don't like make them walk. They just kind of learn. But the same thing with holding it in at night, through the night is very developmental. So then we can put back a diaper or pull up on at night. But during the day, we want to wear underpants. And the reason I say that is they feel it more. Like our diaper pull-ups even today are so absorbent. They don't even feel when they wet themselves. And it's just a diaper you put on a different way. And they know that. So take them to the store with you, buy these underpants to start with, and then you can say, now let's pick out other underpants. Thomas the Train, I don't know who's the big characters right now in underpants. Okay, so, right, whatever cool character that they want. Yeah, I don't know who that is, sorry. Whatever cool character is that they want, and they pick those out also. And you say to them, when you learn how to pee and poop in the potty, and all the pee and poop go to the potty, then you get to wear these cool underpants, right? So that's kind of like a natural reward for them. They want to wear the underpants with the fun characters on them, and they get to wear that when they can put their, pee and poop, and you guys can call it whatever you want. It's like whatever terminology. I say pee and poop, whatever, like every family kind of has different like words for that. So whatever your family uses, that's fine. So it becomes a natural reward. Like once they learn how to do it, then they get to wear the cool underpants. So you're going to make the room changes. You're going to take away the changing table and all that stuff. You're going to put the underwear in the drawer. And the morning you decide to do it, they're going to wake up. You're going to say, today we are going to, you can talk to them beforehand, like tomorrow we're going to, but when they wake up in the morning, today you're going to go in the potty and wear big kid underpants. You are the boss of your body, and you put your pissy and your poopy into the potty. And some kids are going to be like, yay. Some kids are going to like dig their heels in and say no. And a lot of that depends on temperament. The temperament of your child hugely affects how quickly they will learn to potty train. There was actually researchers, Chess and Thomas, who did a lot of research on temperament. And they basically said there were three main temperaments of children. One is the easy child. That's the kid that basically that's the one who potty trains themselves, who really don't have to worry about. They're great. If you got lucky and your first child was that easy kid, you're like, this is easy. I'm going to have 10 more kids. This is great. And then if your second child is the difficult child, then you're like, we're done, right? So there's three mains. There's the easy child. There's the actually slow to warm up, which will get it eventually, but transitions are a little bit harder for them. It takes them some time to move forward and to change. And then there's a difficult child. And the difficult child is the one who is hypersensitive to everything. The difficult child will take a little bit longer because change is very difficult for them. They don't transition easily at all. And so that, if the child has that temperament, it will take a little bit longer than the easy child who kind of 1, 2, 3 does it. So that's important to keep in mind the temperament of our children and to know to kind of recognize what that temperament is. Because it really affects kind of all of our parenting as well, not just potty training, but that's a big thing in parent training, temperament. So you've asked them, okay, today we're going to wear your big kid underpants. If they put that on, great. If they, have some ambivalence toward it, you can say, Mommy and Daddy, feel you are ready to do this. We know you can do this. Do you need my help putting it on? You can offer to help put on the big kid underpants. Do you need my help taking your diaper off? Do you need my help putting on the underpants? And sometimes you might have to sit with them for a while and to also validate the things. I know it feels a little scary to put on these underpants. You're not really sure how they're going to feel. Or you might be, worried that Mommy's not going to help you. I will still be able to help you. I will still get you breakfast. So do a lot of empathy and a lot of validation of their feelings. Eventually they'll get those underpants on, and you've started your potty training process. So I want you to understand the first day, and sometimes even the first week, you have zero expectations that anything will get in the potty. So the best time to do this is a time when there's really not a whole lot going on in your family. You don't want to do it when you're about to take a vacation. Go travel somewhere. That would be a bad thing to do, right? Find a time where there's you guys have a lot of downtime. Maybe, I don't know if any of your kids are in preschool. Maybe there's an off preschool type of a time, or you're just chilling at home. You don't have a lot maybe going on in your life. There's nobody's really sick, or you want it to be you need to be able to attentive and be there as much as possible to help guide them through, especially the first few days. So just keep that in mind. So then, we said zero expectations. And the message we're constantly giving them is that you are the boss of your body. You are in charge. Only you know when you can make pissy and poopy in the potty. I don't know, right? Only you know. And we're constantly giving them those messages. You are a big boy. And it's going to feel so good when you make that pee and that poop in the potty. It's going to feel so good. You're going to feel like such a big boy when you make that pee and poop in the potty. So those are messages we're giving them constantly. So expect nothing. My third child, an entire week, literally 1 week, nothing got in the potty. 1 week. So I get it. Like it can be very frustrating. But that week went by, something clicked, and then that was it. And he had it. So I just want to let you know it's not like this, it takes anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to really be fully trained. And again, a lot depends on the temperament of your child. If it's a difficult child temperament, it's going to take a little bit longer. If it's an easy child, it'll go quicker. So now what happens when they've made an accident? Right? Here's I think the key to this whole process that makes it work is they have to clean up. It's a natural, logical consequence. If your 2-year-old took a marker and wrote on the wall, what would you have them do? You'd probably have them clean it up, right? Here's a rag, wet, wipe it up. Same thing with when they, go in their pants. You have a job to do, right? Your pee belongs in the toilet. I see it's in your underpants. You have a job to do. And you lead them to, do you want me to walk you to the bathroom? Do you want to walk yourself to the bathroom? And they need to clean up to the best of their ability. Pee's a little easier to clean up. Poop's a little bit harder. But we do have them take it off. You have them change. If it got on the floor, they clean up the floor. The idea is it's a natural, logical consequence. And that's how they learn that this is where it goes. The same thing though for poop too. When they have a poopy accident, I see you have poopy in your underpants. Your job to clean it up. Believe it or not, some kids actually love doing this, and some kids hate it. Yeah, it doesn't matter if they love it or hate it because it's not a punishment. It's just a natural consequence that they do. You pooped, you clean it up, and that means wiping themselves. This is when flushable wipes. Plumbers will kill me for saying this because I think flushable wipes are terrible for toilets. But this process, flushable wipes are really good. They clean up. They dump the poop into if there's. It sounds gross, but if it's hard or whatever, you can dump it into the toilet. Wipe themselves, wipe their legs, put their dirty clothes into the washing machine or into the laundry room. I will tell you, secretly, I throw them out. The first kid, I kept washing them. I'm like, underwear is cheap enough. I'm just going to keep buying them. He didn't know that. He thought he was cleaning up and just they reappeared clean. I just found that as easy tip for me to keep my sanity. Was I just, had a hidden stash and replaced them. But in his mind, he was fully cleaning them up. I actually have them wash it in the laundry room sink, and then you put it in the washing machine or in the dirty laundry basket, and he cleaned himself, got on a new pair. And that's a big key to this process, is that natural consequence of, I peed my pants, I pooped my pants, and now I have to clean it up. Just like a marker on the wall, I have to clean it up. And it doesn't matter if they love it, if they hate it, it makes sense. Right? You make a mess, you clean it up. Kind of goes in that philosophy. At this point, he really does have a good sense of what to do. So it's just getting him to start to feel that feeling of, oh wait, that feeling tells me I have to go to the bathroom. Any questions on that before I kind of move on? Because a lot of times parents are like, what? I really can clean it up. That's gross. But it really is an essential part of the process. Really, all in all, that's it. That's the process. It's really kind of that simple. Of course, there's always things along the way that kind of get us stuck, and that's kind of what we'll talk about next. But that's really essentially the process. Is you kind of prepare them, right? Today's the day we're going to start. You give them the messages that they are the boss of the body. They're in charge. They put on underpants, and they continue to wear underpants throughout the day. Some tips would be, so you go in the car. I always say I still had for my kids were babies, the changing cloths that were kind of waterproof. So I would put that kind of underneath the car seat, underneath, the bottoms in the car seat, just because if they did have an accident in the car seat, it's really hard to clean. So just again, another fun tip, or if they still use a stroller seats are really hard to clean too. So that way it's kind of like a waterproof pad. But they're still in the big kid underpants, no matter kind of where you go. Again, praise them constantly, for you must be so proud of yourself. Or you're going to feel so proud. You're going to feel like such a big boy. Some common questions that I get often are, what happens if, like, can I make them go to the bathroom all the time? Like, we've heard that, like, I'm supposed to put them on the potty every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 20 minutes, whatever. I don't even know what people say anymore, but like, right? So the problem with that is actually elongates the process, and then it becomes your problem, not their problem, right? Then you're you're already potty trained, I hope. If not, that's a different class. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. Then it becomes your issue and your problem, and it's not. It is, you are potty trained. You've done this before. It is theirs. It is theirs to learn to do. So by putting them on the toilet and scheduled times, they're not learning the signal, their body signal of when I need to go. Now, there are sometimes logical times that make sense, like before you're going out to the park or to the doctor or wherever you're going. You can suggest, we're leaving now. We're going out. Now would be a good time if you have to use the potty to go ahead and try. They might try. They might also say no. If they say no, then you don't push. Okay, like you've kind of offered it to them. They say no, you don't push. And you say, when we get to the park or the doctor's office or the grocery store, I'll show you where the potty is. Expect to see every potty in the entire city in the beginning. Like, because they always have to go, like, no matter where you are, and like the most inconvenient time. Like when you're in the checkout line in the grocery store, it's like that's when they have to go. So you have to pull your card out, whatever. But so just expect to see every potty in the city for a while. That's okay. That's, you want them to encourage them to go. So logical times, it makes sense. Otherwise, scheduled pottying doesn't teach them. Kind of becomes your problem. Another question I often get is, like, my child wants me to sit and read to them in the potty. Can I read to them? And again, it becomes, in a way, your problem, and they kind of suck you in to being with them in the potty. Because what happens is when you're reading to them in the potty, they get 100% of your attention. And I've seen this happen time and time again, where kids have their parents read to them in the potty, and they literally can sit on the potty for like a very long time, not go, and the second they get off, then they go in their pants, in their underpants. Which is, I don't even know how they do that. Like, I challenge you all to sit on the toilet for 10 minutes and not go. It would be, I don't even know how they do it, but they somehow do it, these kids, right? And the reason is because now I have 100% of your attention while you read to me, and then when I make in my pants afterwards, I'm still getting 100% of your attention because you're helping me. So if they want to read on the toilet on their own, go ahead. Like, they're absolutely able to look at a book, look at a magazine, whatever they want to do on their own in the potty is fine, just not us doing it for them. I tend to, when kids go to the potty, sometimes they want you to come with them, right? You can go on, you can tell them you can go on your own to the bathroom, or you could ask mommy to come with you. And when you come with them, you want to be as neutral and as like bored looking as possible. Like, read your own magazine, look at your own book, check your own email, or whatever it is, but don't become enmeshed and kind of there going to the bathroom. Kind of take that sort of step back and just kind of watch, and of course you could go with them. Especially at this age, sometimes they still need a little help shimmying down their pants and things like that. But you're not like reading and actively involved with them. You're kind of there, but doing your own thing. And when they also want to take a step back, which I forgot to mention, is when they have accidents, you want to stay as calm and as neutral as possible. So we have no reaction on our faces. We're like, this is, I see you pee in your pants, this is your job to do. Like, we can't react, which is really hard, because we're like, that's the 10th time you've peed in your pants. So we have to stay as neutral as possible and not react. That helps them realize it's their job. You're not mad at them. They're learning learn their signals and to go into the bathroom. Other questions that I often get is, what about like sticker charts, or like, if you pee in the potty like 10 times, then you get a toy. So again, that's really looking at external rewards versus internal rewards. We want to have that internal, being like, I feel good about myself. I feel like a big kid. That's why I'm doing this, not just because I get 10 stickers on a chart. Older kids, I'm sure Nikki in the other room was talking about older kids, charts and things do help them when they kind of get stuck. But for the age kids in here, it is not necessary to make any type of reward system or charts. Just the idea that they're in charge and they're going to feel really good about themselves and proud of themselves for going in the bathroom. Again, your voice and your body language are as neutral and as calm as possible. I'm trying to think what else. I'm looking at this sheet if there's anything I forgot. Nagging. We oftentimes I don't know, dads but moms tend to nag a lot. So like, are you sure you have to go? Are you sure? Come on, do you want to try? Just say it once and then be done. They'll figure it out. Any other? I know that sounds like, it feels like it's very simple sounding, and I'm not trying to like say it's not. It is simple, but it does take some of our patience. That's really the key to doing it. It's not any more than that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So my son fights me, waves his arms around, his feet, he refuses to sit on it. So is it just a matter of removing all diapers from the house and not giving him a choice?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I would go back and give him
beg me to put a diaper back
right,
on it.
and so we wanted to because
no refuse to sit on it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's because as parents, nobody wants to see their kid upset or disappointed or hurt, and we're begging you, please. It's hard to see them that way. And at the same time, we need to give them the messages that they are capable and they can do it.
Right.
So by the back and forth of sometimes yes diaper, sometimes no diapers, kind of is a little bit ambivalent, and they don't have that sense of I am capable, I can handle this, I can do this. So yeah, I would go home and tomorrow talk about starting, don't start tomorrow morning, talk about it tomorrow, and then you can start it after that, or when you have some time. If it's a crazy week, don't start now. Talk about you are the boss of the body. You only know when you have your pee and your poop go in the potty. And then you're going to talk about, and whatever day you pick, we're going to wear underpants, and diapers are going to be for nighttime. And stick with it. Really stick with it. And he might still fight you on it, because it worked before, right? I kind of begged for it, and I got the diaper, so I'm going to keep trying. So as long as you stay calm and neutral and firm on that, he will move past it. But initially, he's going to continue to beg, because it worked. I got the diaper back.
Of course.
And it's kind of
then
scary.
He'll just kind of after a few times going, we'll get the sense of the feeling and then start to go.
Yeah, and like I said, it could take a week, 2 weeks. It takes some time. Sometimes they get it in, sometimes they don't get it in. But through practice, yeah.
You just gotta remove them from the house.
Yeah, but nighttime, you still wear them at night,
yeah,
right?
course.
We don't expect them to be dry through the night for a while. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's hard. Any other questions?
Are these steps kind of the same for somebody who's neurotypical or not?
No. If your child is not neurotypical, you're going to want to be a lot more. You are going to want to be scheduled more, depending on kind of what's going on. But if your child has is autistic or has any other neuro, differences, then it would be a little bit different. You would want to do more charting and a little more scheduling, because they might not be able to make those connections.
Okay.
And you also would wait a little bit longer. So typically kids who have neuro differences will not start at 2 or 3. They might move on a little bit and start a little bit later.
Okay. Are there signs to look for first? So my son has autism, and he's verbal, he talks, but he can tell me when he poops. I don't know when he pees, though.
Right.
But are there certain signs to look for somebody who is not neurotypical, to kind of see if they're ready?
It's the same signs, they just might develop a little bit later. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if he's already talking about pooping, then how old is he? If you told me, but I'm not. He's 27. So, he could be ready, but I would definitely for your child, I would do more of those charts and things like that.
That's good.
Yeah. He's going to need that. And then another question that I often get to is poop. Some poop tends to be the hardest to get out into the toilet. It becomes kind of scary. It looks like something really important is coming out of me. And that's why that book up there somewhere, Everybody Poops, is a great one to read, because it talks about everybody poops, everybody eats, so everybody poops. It's a natural part of us. This is what we do. It's the stuff that we eat, so our body gets energy, and this is the extra stuff that our body doesn't need, and that's what comes out. There's still oftentimes kids get stuck, and poop is hard to get out into the toilet. So a few strategies of that should happen is, and they'll beg for the diaper, because it feels safer to poop in the diaper than it does in the toilet. So a couple things you can do. One is you can actually initially open up the diaper and lay it like across the toilet. So it's on the toilet, but it's still kind of like in the diaper. And this is going to sound funny, but you can also put something on the floor next to the toilet, like newspaper or the diaper. Not that your dog, I think your child is a dog, but like next to the toilet. So it's getting close. We're in the bathroom. We're not wearing the diaper, but it's there. And then eventually they will transition to doing it by themselves in the diaper. What sometimes happens, unfortunately, is kids get like constipated, and then it actually hurts to poop. And then like fear that they had kind of becomes this like real fear, like it's actually hurting. So in that case, do talk to your pediatrician. But most pediatricians will recommend like Miralax or a stool softener. There are a few pediatricians I've heard out there who recommend suppositories. I highly advise you not to do that. If your pediatrician or a healthcare professional should recommend that. It is very invasive, and it feels like somebody's kind of like, what's the word I want? Like touching my body in a way that's just not okay, because your suppository, you're putting like something, inside of them. And so a stool softener is going to be the way to go, but do talk to your pediatrician about that. So, because unfortunately, sometimes that does happen. There's something else that I just had in my mind and just like went out. Other just random tips is sometimes kids get terrified of the flushing in bathrooms, because if they're oftentimes in public bathrooms like automatic.
My sister was like that. We had to cover.
Yes, automatic, or like they're really strong and they're really loud. So like highly sensitive kids, those like slow to warm up kids, difficult kids will like, maybe like this. So you can always, if you see that's a problem and they refuse to go because they're, scared of the sound or the flushing automatically, like, I don't know, I've gone to automatic toilets and I sit down and it starts flushing before I even done anything yet. It can be scary. So if it's just the flushing and the sound of the flushing, you can have them walk out and you can flush. That's fine. You can block the sensor so it doesn't like flush on them while they're sitting. And boys, she knows, but boys start usually sitting and then they eventually transition to standing. Also, kids can do beforehand if you want to do, if you're not like needing to do it right now with your situation, but parallel stories are amazing for kids to learn. A parallel story is when you're talking about a child who is their same age, their same gender, who's learning to get potty trained. And you talk about them getting potty trained and what they went through and how big they feel, how proud they feel. Or if they have like an older sibling, or if they have like a babysitter or aunt or uncle or cousin, somebody they look up to, you can also use them. One of my really good friends, and kids, she's a little younger than I am, so her kids are much younger than my kids, like about 10-year difference. She would tell, my daughter's name is Shayna, she would tell Shayna stories to her daughter. Like Shayna Shayna was 10 years older, and her 2-year-old thought my daughter was like the greatest thing in the world because she was a cool older girl. And so she would tell Shayna stories about going to the bathroom. And that helped her daughter kind of like understand the process and what to do, and like big kids do this. You can even make books. It's so easy today to take pictures and to make books of the process of, one day, Zoe woke up and started wearing underpants and made pissing the poop in the potty, and then she was going to feel so good about herself. And then the next page is, she had an accident and she's cleaning up and she knows that soon she'll be able to get all her pee and poop in the potty. You can make any kind of story like that, and it'd be, it's fun today you can take pictures of kind of like your kid, you can make it with them, kind of posing and all the, sitting on the potty, cleaning it up, and then they get to see pictures of them and books of them going through the process also, which is really fun. There's like a lot of cool ways to do that. A friend of mine just did it on PowerPoint, just made look like a book, but did it on a PowerPoint. There's just a lot of like ways to do it today. I'm so like not super creative, but really creative people can really go all out. That's not. And the other thing that sometimes to expect is regression. After about a week or so they got it, oftentimes you'll see the kids regress. And then we're really tempted to give them back their diaper. Stick with it. It is normal and natural for a child to regress, especially if there's a change going on. I know one of my kids was potty trained, and in one basically week he started school, turned 3, We had like a big party for him when he was 3. Like just a lot was going on, and completely regressed. Gave him the same messages. I know you can do this. And he went clean up his underpants and all that. And he, after like a week, he was back to being potty trained. So if there's regression, don't worry. Don't, I know you're tempted to put back on the diaper. Oh, maybe it wasn't time yet. Maybe they weren't really ready. Don't doubt yourself. They were ready. It's just, sometimes it happens. You take a vacation and things get off. Somebody is like sick. It's okay. Stick with it. Continue to give them the same messages. Have them clean it up, and we'll get eventually back to being potty trained.